All the choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? All the choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? Again, 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 again. Did you make them choices you made, did you make them
All the choices you made, did you make them
Did you make them
What up, everybody? I got twice the mic. Hopefully there's not an echo. What's up, everybody? K Creative in the house. Doing a little weekly newsletter roundup today for Bamboo Solutions. So, gonna get started here, but for some reason I've got two mics. I hope there's not an echo. You hear an echo? Let's just proceed. Let me know if the sound sounds like garbage. Anyways, guys, thanks for jumping on. Today we're going to do our SharePoint weekly newsletter roundup. We do this every Friday. If you're not on our newsletter, you can sign up for that. Let me put that in chat real quick. You can sign up for that, get registered. We'll send you an email every Friday morning around 8 a.m. It's got like all the latest news for the last 7 days for the SharePoint space. If you're in the Microsoft Office 365, SharePoint, you know, you do that kind of stuff or you're interested in it, this newsletter keeps you up to date on all the latest happenings. So good stuff. Everybody loves it. Seems like it's one of the better newsletters out there that I've had the pleasure of being a part of. Good info. So we're going to go through that today together. Yep, we're gonna do that. How you guys doing? What's new? Friday, we made it. All right, let's go. Let's get to the newsletter. All right, here's what it looks like. If you've never seen this before, it's a MailChimp newsletter. You can unsubscribe, do all those things you'd expect to be able to do with a newsletter, but here's what it looks like. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you guys can catch a little bit more of that text. We do stream, as we're doing right now, every Friday at noon. We go over the newsletter that came out that morning. So here we go. 3 sections to the newsletter, if you're not familiar. Top news stories around the blogosphere and SharePoint events. Things for you to be able to plug into in your community. We'll get to that. So top news stories, let's start there. Let's get in. SharePoint Online scam. Sadly, phishing's not dead. I was checking this out this morning in the line at Dunkin'. I was grabbing a cold brew to go. yeah, it's kind of what you would expect. It's a nice blog post about the phishing attacks that are ongoing in the SharePoint or in the Office 365 space, right? This one showing an example of how people are targeting users of SharePoint specifically. They're making it look like orders, or they're making it look like SharePoint Online login forms. And of course, it's working, right? Unfortunately, people still fall for these phishing attempts. And so anyways, it kind of brings some attention to the things that they're seeing as far as phishing attempts lately, and with some good post additional data around that. So check that out if you're interested in that. Here we go. Microsoft, whatever you do, don't call it Office Online. I didn't dig into this one yet, but apparently for Microsoft, not the word online when it comes to the company's Office apps. Users are not amused. Let's see here. Bill Dahl, a senior product marketing manager, wrote in a post to the company blog, he said, the official product name for what was previously referred to as Office Online is now simply Office. So don't be butchering the name. Come on, guys. Come on. It might be online, but we're not going to call it online. They're going to continue to refer to the platform-specific sub-brands, such as Office for Mac or Office for Android, but don't call it Office Online. Rather than tag the web version of, say, Word as Word Online or Office overall as Office Online, Microsoft's, they may dub those as Word for the web, Office on the web, Word on Office.com, or Office in a browser. I don't know why this is even a thing. Whatever. I mean, I guess if you're a company of that size and you've got probably one of the most used software products in the world, maybe it does, right? I guess I haven't really dealt with it, anything on that scale. Office 365 is retiring TLS 1.0 and 1.1. Why you should care? You heard that right. They're going to be retiring 1.0 and 1.1. Woo, it's getting warm in here. Hold on, let me turn this AC on real quick. What's the temperature out today? Here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Ooh, it's 70. Set on 75. Come on. What am I going to do with that? Let's put that on 73 real quick. Let's get some cold air blowing. All right, so it seems like Microsoft's been making the promise for years now. They actually have. You may remember, well, actually they have. Okay. Let's see here. They mentioned retirement of TLS 1.0 and 1.1 in Office 365, but unfortunately, due to so many organizations not being ready for that, I'll turn this music down. Microsoft was met with a great deal of backlash. Yeah. A couple of years later, it's still supporting TLS 1.0 and 1.1 in Office 365. However, just because Microsoft was forced to bend the knee in the past, don't expect them to be so nice this time around. All right, so what does this mean to you? What does TLS 1.0 and 1.1 mean to you? He says, so now that you know the deadline, how do you know if this applies to your environment? Well, Microsoft recommends that anyone with the following client versions ensure they apply the latest updates so that these devices can support 1.2. Okay. Clients know not to support TLS 1.2, Android 4.3 or earlier, Firefox version 5 and earlier, Internet Explorer 8 through 10 on Windows 7 and earlier versions, Internet Explorer 10 on Windows Phone 8, and Safari's earlier versions than 6 and OS X 10.8.4. Microsoft Service Hubs and Microsoft Teams Rooms, also referred to as SRS v2. They've supported TLS 1.2 since December of 2018. However, Microsoft recommends that the devices have at least Microsoft Teams Room app version 4.064.0. So, okay. If you're using any type of on-premises infrastructure for hybrid scenarios or ADFS, make sure your infrastructure supports inbound and outbound connections using TLS 1.2. That could be a deal. That could be a thing that you need to pay attention to. If you really want to dig into the topic, Microsoft has released a white paper for guidance on removing TLS 1.0 and 1.1 in your environment, which you can check out here. There's a link. Boom. You can open this newsletter up yourself. Actually, let's try this. Can I just paste this into a browser? Like, could I send a link to it right now in chat? I've never tried that. I can. Let's try that. What's up, Johnny Mo? I just saw your message, man. How you doing? What up? Where's my... I want to see timestamps in my chat so I can see how long ago I've been neglecting your messages. How are you, dude? Friday. Yeah, I don't know. There used to be like a quick button here for timestamps, but whatever. Anyways, there you go. There's a link to the newsletter. That's pretty tight. I didn't know I could do that directly. What an idiot. Office 365 gets improved malicious email analysis in August. So what's that? What you talking about? What's her name? Rabia? They're finally improving the manual threat hunting features available in Office 365 Threat Explorer. She says the company is going to release new malicious email analysis tools to all users in August this year. The newly added functionality will be pretty useful for Office 365 admins. Not only this, but Microsoft is also bringing email timeline and email status features as well. So all this is going to allow your admins to easily analyze malicious emails by downloading them. That's kind of sketch, right? Life is good. So the email timeline. 365 Threat Explorer will also offer an email timeline. The timeline is helpful in the case when you need to analyze the malicious email based on various events triggered against it. If they go ahead with the plan, Microsoft that is, the hunting process is going to be a lot simpler and easier. Previously, Office 365 admins had to spend most of their time on analyzing different factors. The roadmap entry for Microsoft 365 says, timeline view for an email. Email timeline is a new feature underway to make hunting simpler for admins in case of multiple events occurring on the same email. That would be shown in a timeline view, so the admin won't have to hunt down at different places to understand the email events. Huh. Okay. What else we got here? Email status. Finally, you'll now see the emails in two separate columns. These columns will inform you about the delivery status of an email. The first column, delivery action, shows that if the email has been blocked, added junk, replaced and removed by Zap. I don't know what Zap is. Furthermore, the second column, delivery location, informs the users about the exact location. Okay, so we got some updates there to the, what's it called? The Threat Explorer for Office 365. Kind of neat. What else? Microsoft seriously beefs up security in Windows Server 2019. How did we do that? So it's come a long way since the first days of the vulnerable platform when my then 10-year-old daughter was able to hack the server password file. Well, that's interesting. As far as I'm concerned, the most important thing that Microsoft has learned since then is that security has to be there from the very beginning. Yeah. Yep. Who's this? Who's writing this? This is from the PC Mag UK. Wayne. So Wayne says, what's actually important is that Microsoft has changed its thinking about security, realizing that there are some things you simply can't prevent, which means you need to find other ways to stop them from becoming security holes. A good example is the company's thinking about security perimeter and access. So a couple of ideas would be using a multi-layered security approach. Some of the high points include, so it looks like Microsoft put out the Windows Server 2019, an article called What's New in Windows Server 2019? Our document, and some of the high points in there include Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection, which is much more than just an anti-malware package. So they're referred to as ATP. It guards against malware. It's also a multi-layer protection system that can stop malware in its tracks by watching for changes throughout the Windows server. Includes exploit protection, attack surface reduction, real-time monitoring, automated responses to attacks, etc. Neato. In addition, let's see here, the result is that Windows Defender ATP provides intrusion detection and prevention capabilities in addition to basic endpoint protection and anti-malware services. All right, so introducing real-time protections. Some real-time protections include kernel control flow guard. So there's a whole bunch of updates, or at least highlights to Windows Server security here. Let's see, what's this chart? Most pressing tasks for cybersecurity professionals in 2018. By far, preventing malware, including ransomware, and identifying vulnerabilities. Managing privileged identities. As explained in the Windows Server blog post, Microsoft is aiming to manage privileged identities, secure the OS, and secure fabric virtualization using virtualization-based security. Okay. Interesting post there on security in Windows Server 2019. LinkedIn's migrating to Microsoft Azure. Have you heard this? I didn't hear that. How did I miss that? July 23rd by Emil. LinkedIn today announced it's swapping out its data centers for the public cloud. The Microsoft-owned company is moving its infrastructure to Azure as part of the multi-year migration. sat down with Mohak Shroff, LinkedIn's SVP of Engineering, to discuss one of the biggest technological transformations in the company's history. That's right, they did announce that $26.2 billion acquisition of LinkedIn in 2016. Closed the deal in December of 2016. LinkedIn is moving to Microsoft Azure. Them moving to Microsoft Azure has always seemed inevitable. I mean, come on, yeah. Being a Microsoft owned entity for show, right? Was this part of the plan all along? He says, no, it was not. So, what else? Why Azure and why now? So Shroff now believes that the public cloud has hit an inflection point. For a while, we've seen a certainty to the public cloud, a certainty to Azure and its ilk on the future. They're just trends you see in terms of the level of investment and innovation and scale that come with the way public clouds have evolved. That makes it clear that this is the way of the future and we want to be a part of it. Existing Azure features, LinkedIn's already leveraging Azure. I didn't know that. So in addition to a few experiments, LinkedIn uses Microsoft's public cloud in 3 notable ways. Azure Media Services to accelerate LinkedIn video post delivery. They're also using Microsoft Text Analytics API and Azure Cognitive Service to improve machine translation. Okay. Content Moderator, a Microsoft Cognitive Service running on Azure to help inappropriate content off of LinkedIn. That's pretty neat. If Azure wasn't an inevitability, does that mean LinkedIn took a look at other public clouds? He said they did not. He considered them in the past. Primary reason for that is we think of ourselves as a fairly complex use case for the public cloud and have some custom needs. Microsoft played no role in LinkedIn's choice. Whether that's true or not, Azure stands to benefit beyond just gaining a new customer, that's for sure too. Hard to believe Microsoft didn't play a role in moving them there, but 3 benefits to moving to Azure. He says the first is the growing number of Azure regions becoming available to LinkedIn. It'll become more proximate to its members. That's good. Second is the elastic nature. There's sometimes needs for bursts, especially with offline processing. The team is especially looking forward to Azure's data analytics, AI, and ML capabilities. That's cool. And the third benefit that they saw for this was the ability to focus on building product, securing the site, and leveraging at-scale systems on the Azure stack over time. Cool stuff, right? That's pretty neat. Let's see what else. Microsoft invests $1 billion in OpenAI, announces major Azure partnership. You guys familiar with OpenAI? It's a Silicon Valley startup with a mission to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. Microsoft today announced a partnership with OpenAI, including an investment of $1 billion. OpenAI and Microsoft will build a computational platform in Azure that can train and run increasingly advanced AI models. The improvements that they're going to make to Azure to build supercomputing technologies will also be made available to regular AI developers. Key highlights: they'll jointly build new Azure AI supercomputing technologies. Another one would be that OpenAI will port its services to run on Microsoft Azure, which it will use to create new AI technologies and deliver on the promise of artificial general intelligence. What else? We got Microsoft will become OpenAI's preferred partner for commercializing new AI technologies. Cool stuff there too, huh? OpenAI. Look at all these partnerships, huh? Look at all this activity around the Microsoft entity, huh? What's in the new Edge for enterprises? I don't know. What do you got here? AAD sign-in, privacy tools, managing IE mode. I still don't have that in my Edge Chrome browser here, whatever you call this thing. Chromium-based Edge. Offline installers for Edge dev builds are available now. They're also publishing ADMX files with the 180 plus group policies that can be used to configure deployment and browser settings. Okay. You can take full control of the update process by pushing MSIs or PKGs for Macs to manage devices. A future update to the new Edge browser will support more integrated deployment and configuration with System Center, Intune, MDM tools, and Mac deployments. What else? Look at this. Oh man, that's a lame. Let's see here. They got a little graphic. Microsoft Edge Enterprise Roadmap available to evaluate today in Canary Daily and Dev Weekly builds. I have both installed on this computer. Internet Explorer mode enables a single browser for modern and legacy IE compatible sites. I still don't know how to use that. More tools. Yeah, I still haven't figured that out. Internet Explorer mode. What do I got here? I got a video playing here. Come on. Security and privacy in progress. What else? All right, cool. What's new in the Edge for enterprises? There's that whole graphic pretty much laid out all those new perks for the enterprise there. Anyways, around the blogosphere, what's up? Create a modern theme for SharePoint Online. How do we do that? Possibility of using and creating themes has been around in SharePoint through many versions back, and they have worked in different ways for all versions. For a while ago, a new way to create a custom theme was launched for modern themes in SharePoint Online. So what can you accomplish with a theme is quite limited, but at least you can put your own background color on the page and change the primary color for certain types of elements. All right, let's try it out. Before following the steps below, make sure that you have the latest version of SharePoint Online Management Shell installed and that you have access to a tenant admin account in order to run the PowerShell. So you define the theme colors, apply the theme in SharePoint, a whole bunch of PowerShell here. After you've done that, test it out, change the colors until you're satisfied with the result, blah, 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 blah. Cool stuff. Theming SharePoint sites. It's definitely the direction we've gone, right? We used to stand up these custom master pages that were so extravagant, trying to make SharePoint not look like SharePoint. And now that we're all on SharePoint Online, or at least gravitating in that direction, we don't really get that control anymore. You're not supposed to customize master pages any longer, right? And so, so now we're kind of limited to CSS type theming, if you will. Which is okay, because the new modern stuff that Microsoft's put out for SharePoint, man, it's freaking awesome compared to what it used to be. So SharePoint looks good now. SharePoint migration and upgrade planning. Bamboo Nation, this is one of our blog posts. Mike wrote this one last week. Let's see here. Quick call out. Good news, Bamboo Solutions is there to help. Yeah, who would have thought, right? We are there to help. Proper method and recommended Bamboo Solutions best practice for SharePoint migration starts with a SharePoint migration discovery. That is correct. So migration and upgrade planning, if you're interested in reading that from us, go check that out on our website. It's on our blog. SharePoint is not about templates from the SharePoint Maven. Let's see, what's Greg saying here this week? I got an email from users asking me to sell them a SharePoint site template, and I developed one for one of my previous clients. I politely declined the request. It's not because I did not want to help them. I won't pass an opportunity to make an extra buck, but there are plenty of reasons why you should never purchase any SharePoint site templates. Let me explain. Yeah, most templates out there are still using the classic look, that's for sure, so it won't do you any good to go back in history. At 2019, you better have all your sites as modern. Kind of just touched on that, didn't we? Reason 2, templates do not have taxonomy built in. Yup. Reason 3, security is not part of the template. It can't be replicated as part of the template, so it is just the structure of a site and its look and feel that can be templatized. So if you need to create unique permissions for your folders or document libraries, you will need to do so manually. Let's see, reason 4, you can create your own site template in a heartbeat. Yes, you can. Reason 5, it's all about your business requirements. Cool. All right, not a fan of that song. Right on, Greg. Thanks, bro. What else we got here? SPFX Web Parts from different solutions on same local workbench. Okay, that's cool. So ever wondered how to add a SharePoint Framework web part from different solutions to your local workbench while developing on localhost? And look no further. So there you go. Got a nice little technical developer-centric post here on how to do that. I actually have not tried doing that yet, so that would be interesting. Everything is done, and you can now run the main solution and add both web parts to the workbench page. That's awesome. Looks like you've got some bundle and copying to do to make that happen. Restore SharePoint Seattle master page? What? You can reset the master page on a SharePoint site and get back to the default master page. This command can be used by any SharePoint version. A few notes that I want the user to be aware of before running the script. It only applies to the site you're connected to and not all site collections. If you've custom master page with custom zones, you may have an error. Okay. Make sure you have the site variable with the slash. On the domain URL, make sure you win the line without. Okay. If you've other type of security on login, check the other options. Huh, okay, so there's some PNP to reset to Seattle if you need to. Power Apps text input pattern validation, what's that? Do you ever have a form with a text box for someone to type their phone number or email address and would like to enforce that pattern? In many forms, we don't want the form to be able to be submitted if the data hasn't been typed in the correct way or pattern or like social security number, phone numbers, etc. So they're going to show us how in this article. So you select your input and then it looks like you're going to write some if then or if is match kind of thing and then validate and format. Cool stuff. How to create a blog with modern SharePoint news pages. Create a site column, page category, create a page template for your blog, create a blog post, modify the news web part. Another example there. Grant access to folder in SharePoint for Access team members with Flow. Grant access to a folder in SharePoint for Access team members with Flow. What? There was a question on the Dynamic CRM community forum, how to add folders to a document location in SharePoint and grant access. Okay. Okay, this turned out to be much easier than I first thought, especially with the new actions of the SharePoint connector and Flow. So what are those steps? When a record's selected, list the document location record, compose relative URL, create new folder, list team record, compose team ID, list team membership records. Wow. And then there's all the details. Get some. Modifying SharePoint modern site header. What's this website with the articles? You're talking about this one right here. This is our company's newsletter that we put out every week. And so I just go through it on Fridays at noon with you guys online. But you can sign up for the newsletter if you're interested. It really is a compilation that comes out every week of the last 7 days of news around the Microsoft Office 365 space. Pretty much anything that could touch that. So yeah, totally available to you if you want. There's a link if you want to register for it. Let's see, we're here on the last couple. Modifying SharePoint modern site header layout and site logo using PNP PowerShell. Yeah, dude. Righty TV. No problem, man. In our recent project, we get requirements to modify the header layout and site logo of SharePoint modern sites. Recently, modern site header layout customization options are released in SharePoint Online Office 365. With these options, you can customize the header layout and change the site logo. From the change the look option under, okay, change the look, compact. What's he doing? Site logo allows uploading of a new logo. Modifying the header with PNP PowerShell. So these are the steps to do that out of the box through the UI. Okay, and then there's PowerShell to accomplish that. So there's some examples. In Modern, he was able to adjust some of those things which may or may not be available to you through the default user experience, is what I'm understanding there. SharePoint library folder default field values. SharePoint library root folder or library folder fields can be configured to use default values. For example, if you configure default values in a folder, documents added to that folder will inherit those field values by default. Oh, that's cool. I don't think I've ever tried that. This functionality is great when you have a project that heavily relies on metadata being inherited through multiple levels of information. Ooh, that actually is very applicable to a project I'm on right now. Setting default field values via the SharePoint interface. Default values can be configured via list settings page under column default value settings. Okay. In the following example, let's see, he's configured my test list field so that the my yes no field has a default value of yes at the list level. and then set a default value on the field to no for the, oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that. Then you can set the default field values using PowerShell. There you go. Script for that. That's pretty neat. That actually is going to go into my project notes for the current thing I'm working on. All right, so that's it for top news stories and around the blogosphere. Last but not least, SharePoint events. A bunch of SharePoint Saturdays coming up. If you haven't been to one, man, you gotta go. I'm telling you, they're so awesome. You shake hands with good people, brilliant people in the space, and they just have good stuff to share. And it's usually really timely and current. So if you get a chance and you're near any one of these places, SharePoint Saturday is coming, go. It's free. It's usually got all kinds of great perks to it too. They give away like Xboxes and Echoes if you stay the whole day and stuff like that. So anyways, SharePoint Saturday coming up in New York City. We got Omaha, Charlotte, you got Lima, Central Europe, Barcelona, Stockholm, Pittsburgh, Helsinki, Los Angeles, and Richmond. So that's some of the upcoming ones. And then you've got, what do you got here? Brock University, our journey to the cloud using SharePoint. It's an online thing you can attend. Let's see, this is a Microsoft education program. So you can register for that webinar there. What else we got? We got SharePoint Fest, August 19th through the 23rd in Seattle. We will be at SP TechCon. I keep reminding everyone every Friday in Boston. So if you're coming out to SP TechCon in Boston, let us know. We'll have a booth there. I won't be going, but Rob will be there. So go shake hands and chat him up. You'd enjoy that. So that's it. That's it, guys. Another week down. Another weekly newsletter done. Send Kev to Boston. Man, I wish I wanted to go. Who knows? Maybe another time. Maybe next year. I don't know. I missed the Austin one too. So Austin was back in February, I think, for SP TechCon or something like that. I didn't get to go to that one either, but oh, look at that. We got a quote right up front from Rutger Hauer. He just passed, didn't he, yesterday? That was kind of sad. All right, guys. That's all I got today. Thank you all for jumping on, man. I appreciate all the chat. We are, so the webinar schedule is kind of off at the moment for us, so I won't be streaming on Wednesdays for a little bit. The summer months have kind of killed attendance on a lot of that stuff, so we decided to kind of take a break and let's focus our efforts on getting some new initiatives done. Yeah, so I'll see you guys next Friday back on here on Twitch and YouTube. So hit me up. Let me know if you got any questions. sales@bamboosolutions.com. I'd love to chat. Yeah, man. Thank you, John. See you, man. Have a good weekend. I'm sure we'll talk later. Peace out, everyone.